I moved into apartment 3B because it was cheap. That should have been the first red flag. The building was old, the kind that smelled like dust and damp wood no matter how much you cleaned. It sat at the edge of downtown Chicago, just far enough from the noise to feel isolated. The landlord didn't ask many questions. No background check, no references. He just handed me the keys and said, "Most people don't stay long." At the time, I laughed. I was 27, recently divorced, and desperate for a fresh start. I didn't care about the peeling paint or the flickering hallway lights. All I cared about was being alone. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. No traffic noise. No neighbors arguing. Not even the sound of footsteps above me. Just the low hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock on my phone. I slept better than I had in months. The second night, I heard someone walking in the hallway. Slow footsteps, dragging slightly. They stopped outside my door. I held my breath. After a few seconds, the footsteps continued down the hall. I told myself it was just another tenant. The third night, it happened again. Same time. Around 2:40 a.m., slow footsteps, dragging, stopping right outside apartment 3B. This time, I opened the door. The hallway was empty. The lights flickered overhead, buzzing softly. No one was there. When I turned back inside, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. My bathroom light was on. I was sure I had turned it off before bed. I checked the apartment. Closet, kitchen, bedroom. Everything looked normal, except for the mirror. Someone had written a word on it with their finger. Still here. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I asked the landlord about the previous tenant. His face changed immediately. He hesitated, then said, "The last guy disappeared. No explanation. No report. Just gone." This time, they didn't stop outside my door. They came inside. I heard the lock turn. Slowly. The door opened just an inch. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. A voice whispered from the darkness, "You took my place." The door closed again. The next morning, my phone had photos on it. Photos of me sleeping, taken from inside the room. That's when I realized something terrifying. The apartment wasn't haunted. It was occupied by someone who never left. And now, neither could I. I didn't leave that apartment the next day. Not because I wasn't scared, but because fear can do strange things to your mind. It convinces you that staying still is safer than running. That if you don't acknowledge something, it might stop acknowledging you. I told myself there had to be a logical explanation. Someone breaking in, a prank, a squatter, anything but what my instincts were screaming. I called in sick to work and stayed inside all day. I checked every lock twice, then a third time. By noon, I noticed something else. The apartment felt different, smaller, like the walls had shifted just enough to make breathing uncomfortable. Sounds didn't behave the way they should. When I dropped my keys, the echo lingered too long. When I ran the sink, I could hear water moving inside the walls, not pipes. Movement. That evening, I found the first note. It was taped to the inside of my front door, written in shaky handwriting. "You're settling in nicely." My hand started shaking. I ripped the note down and searched the apartment again. Nothing. No open windows. No forced entry. That night, I didn't turn off the lights. I sat on my bed, fully dressed, phone in my hand. Midnight passed. Then 1 a.m., at exactly 1:10, I heard the footsteps. Inside the apartment. They came from the kitchen this time. Slow, measured, like someone learning the space. I whispered, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped. Then the voice spoke again. Not loud, not angry, just familiar. "You sleep where I slept." My throat went dry. "I didn't know," I said. There was a pause, then a soft laugh. "No one ever does." I didn't see him, but I felt him. The pressure in the room increased, like the air was being pushed inward. When the lights flickered, I ran. Straight out the front door. I didn't grab my wallet, didn't grab my phone charger. I ran until my lungs burned. I spent the night at a motel across town. I slept with the TV on. I still dreamed of that apartment. In the dream, I wasn't visiting it. I was remembering it. The next day, I went to the police. They listened politely. They wrote things down. Then they asked me if I'd been under stress lately, if I was sleeping well, if I'd ever experienced hallucinations. I walked out feeling stupid, but I didn't go back to the apartment. Not yet. 3 days later, my landlord called. He sounded nervous. "You haven't been home," he said. "I moved out," I replied. There was a long silence. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "You can't." I asked him what he meant. He lowered his voice. "Once someone takes 3B, it doesn't like being empty again." I hung up. That night, my motel room door unlocked itself. Slowly, the voice whispered from the hallway, "You can't leave." I checked out at sunrise. I left Chicago that morning. New city, new name. For a while, it worked, until I noticed the familiar smell, dust and damp wood, coming from my new bedroom, and the mirror fogged by itself, with 2 words written slowly. "Still here." That's when I understood the truth. The apartment wasn't a prison. I was. And wherever I live now, so does he. I stopped running after that, not because I accepted what was happening, but because no matter where I went, the signs followed. Different cities, different apartments, same smells, same sounds. Footsteps at night, lights turning on by themselves, mirrors fogging without steam. I stopped unpacking my boxes. There was no point. Eventually, I went back to Chicago. Not to the apartment, to the building's records office. I found a name. Evan Miller, age 32. Reported missing 5 years earlier. Last known address, apartment 3B. According to the report, Evan believed someone was living with him, watching him, replacing him. The final note in the file chilled me. He stopped sleeping in his bed. He said it no longer felt like his. That night, I dreamed of apartment 3B again, but this time I wasn't myself. I was standing in the hallway, watching someone sleep in my bed. When I woke up, I understood. The apartment doesn't trap people. It replaces them. Slowly. Quietly. One tenant at a time. I don't know when it happened to Evan, but I know when it happened to me. The night I stopped fighting. The night I accepted that the footsteps were mine. Now, I still live in apartments. I just don't sleep in the bed. That space belongs to someone else. Someone new. If you ever move into a place where the rent feels too low, and the landlord says people don't stay long, pay attention to the footsteps at night, because one day, you might realize they're not following you. They're waiting for you to move out. so they can move back in.